What a spectacular weekend of racing. Both the cross-country and downhill seasons have come to an end, and what an ending it was at Lenzerheide, Switzerland.
On Saturday, the women's cross-country got underway with Jolanda Neff being the favourite to win on home soil. But out of the gate, Neff sat back behind the leader, Anneke Langvad, and the chasing team of Emily Batty and Kate Courtney, where she sat for the majority of the 7 laps. I just don't think she had it in her this week. But Langvad held a strong lead over the Canadian-American duo, who closed in on her. Even after suffering a crash in the rock garden, Langvad maintained her leading position.
You'd have thought that Langvad ever had that race right over the relatively inexperienced Kate Courtney.
Yeah, Emily Batty's had some really good late season form, but Kate Courtney, that's her first Elite World Championships. But Langvad crashed again and Courtney went on to take the race. Incredible win at first World
Specialised 1-2, track in third.
Absolutely. Yeah, an absolutely gutted looking Anneke Langvad came second, Emily Batty third, and Jolanda Neff got that 4th place.
Yeah, and it has to be noted, Don, that the awesome Gunrita Dahl not only came in 9th position, but she rode the infamously technical Lenzerheide track on a hardtail. One of the very few to pass on riding full suspension. Was that the right decision, though?
I don't know, his technical track actually rode it a few years ago with Mark Beaumont when he raced Nino Schurter, so it was a rooty track.
What happened there? And that?
Well, Nino smoked Mark on all that, but it's good. After the race, Neff took to social media explaining that she wasn't feeling 100% on race day after suffering a crash in training and a cough this week, so it takes everything just to win that race. Yeah, cough, yeah.
Now then to the men's cross-country race, where Swiss national hero Nino Schurter was everyone's favourite to win gold. As the race got underway, Schurter pulled away quickly with the Italian racer Gerhard Kirchbaumer on his back wheel. Not far behind, Dutch racer and cyclocross champion Mathieu van der Poel made a solo chase with a second chasing team behind him.
Yeah, they lost quite a bit of time at the start of the race though. Schurter really pushing hard to try and gap those riders, but yeah, really good ride from Kirchbaumer actually.
Then in true Schurter fashion, the Swiss racer pulled away in the last lap for an epic sprint finish, 11 seconds ahead of Kirchbaumer, securing his 7th world title win.
Yeah, absolutely incredible in front of absolutely thousands.
Crazy, wasn't it?
The noise when he went over that finish line was incredible. Yeah. Van der Poel took 3rd place in his first ever mountain bike world championship medal for a young rider with a pretty serious palmares already. Do you know what that is, Steve?
Like a list of medals. Yeah. On to the downhill, Don. On Sunday, the downhill fans gathered in their masses on the relentless Lenzerheide track, which would separate the wheat from the chaff and see who'd be crowned 2018 World Downhill Champion.
Yeah, we saw some big crashes in the week prior to the race. Actually, I think Anne-Marie Piron was riding a little bit injured. So the Lenzerheide course posed problematic for some, especially in that brutal first rock garden where there's loads of options, but a lot of them could lead to a big over the bars.
Absolutely, and it wasn't helped further by the dry and dusty conditions because the racers had practiced in wetter conditions and with different light, and I think light and drying conditions were a big challenge for that race.
And you have a big gaps in practice and race time, so it's a lot of pressure as well.
You know, it was interesting, the Red Bull coverage, they said Claudio and Warner were on about it being slippery. I'd say it was more loose than slippery.
Yeah, I'd agree totally.
Yeah. And what do you think about that light? You see the TV footage, there was like the light and dark was quite
probably worse on TV, but it can be a big problem, especially when, like I said, there's holes digging out all the time.
Would you like to ride those loose stones?
Oh, I'd love to, but I wouldn't like to race world champs though.
For the women's elite races, the season had been all but predictable, which left 3 main contenders in the running for the gold: Tani Seagrave, Miriam Nicole, and of course Rachel Atherton. It had been a head-to-head all season, and the World Championships would be the decider.
It's very difficult with that added pressure of World Champs, but could Rachel back up her 4 previous World Champs titles?
She knows what she's doing, Don.
Well, when it came to it, she had an incredible run. It's probably the most impressive ride I saw all day, and won by almost 10 seconds. Yeah.
There were many clean runs amongst the women, with some more cautious choices coming from the likes of Seagrave, who hasn't had the best Lenzerheide race experience in the past 4 years. Nicole came down, setting a quick time of 3:26, only to be quickly knocked off the top spot by Seagrave, who shaved 7/10 off her time. With Atherton the last down the track, it was clear from the first split she was on an absolute league of her own, absolutely tearing it down the track with such an infectious ferocity. She smashed Seagrave's time by a whopping 9.98 seconds.
She was considerably faster at every split and just showed her maturity, really.
Do you know what? Champs. For me, it was one of the runs of the weekend. Yeah. It looked absolutely phenomenal. First rock garden did scare me though. I was thinking,
could you imagine winning World Champs? That's impressive enough, but by 10 seconds, that is just, it doesn't happen.
Fair dues, Rachel Atherton. Over to the men's elite race, which rounded off the World Championship weekend. It was Greg Minnaar who set the first sub 3 minute timing, heading down the track early due to missing some World Cup rounds earlier this year with injury.
Yeah, broken arm.
Yeah, he sat in the hot seat for quite a while until Lebresse winner Martin Mace came down, knocking 2.4 seconds off his time.
Martin Mace, wow, he sat there for so long, I was convinced he was going to win it. All those top riders weren't getting close.
Don, he only missed out by 0.2, right?
He's done 2 downhill races this year, and he's won 1 World Cup. Comes second.
Well, do you know,
a bit of a spoiler there, we're getting there, but what an amazing run for Martin Mace.
Our man behind the camera reckons that he's the most talented gravity racer at the moment in the world.
3 years ago, Steve, I said he's the new John Tomac. He'd won the Junior World Downhill, he had won an EWS, and he won the Dual Slalom, which doesn't sound like much, but that's a really difficult race to win. Incredible
rider, and he's so, you know, he's pretty kind of calm about everything.
Yep.
Doesn't get overexcited.
How old is he? I don't know. Must be early 20s, 21 possibly. Very young rider.
Incredible run by Mace.
Yeah, it didn't look like Mace could be beaten until Super Bruni put together an incredible run, shaving 0.2 of a second off Mace's time. Danny Hart made errors on his run, finishing 0.3 behind Bruni, with Henri Piron left to come down last. And it came head to head between him and Bruni, but he couldn't put it together.
He did. Now that was the story of the weekend, I think, Don. Like small, really small errors, making big, you know, margins. You know, the top 3 were separated by, you know, less than a second.
Yeah.
But I think the big story from this event was the fact that Gwyn let it go again. A very scruffy run from Gwyn.
That is very unusual.
That's going to that's going to add to the pressure even though he's never won this thing. It's
so I think this is something that will sit in the back of his mind. He's never won it.
It might do, like it did on PT, you know, but PT did it after how many 17 years.
Although Bruni, 3 times world champion, not many of those knocking around, but he's only won 1 World Cup downhill.
I know, you know, people commented on the camera that, you know, Bruni knew how to work under pressure. I mean, Bruni in the past has not acted very well under pressure, kind of winning semi-finals at World Cups and then failing to deliver it in the final. But when it comes to World Championships, it's a different game. Those French, you know. From my experience, which is completely different, but much smaller scale. I don't know, you've raced World Championships. But National Championships, there's one race here that I really wanted to win, so I did everything and always did quite well at it. It's Bruni's thing, World Champs. It's the best thing to win. And like I say, you know, the French really do know how to put things together and put all that support in place to do that. But I think another big story here is Martin Mace, and is it embarrassing that he can come in and do such absolute damage to the world's best downhill racers? I don't think, I know what you're saying, but I don't think you can be embarrassed by Martin Mace. He's just an incredible rider. So here's the thing, if our man behind the camera reckons Martin Mace is the most talented gravity racer of the moment. What about John Graves? Or Sam Hill, who actually has been beating Martin Mace. Yep. What would happen if Sam Hill came back? Or Cecile Ravenel. She's raced cross-country World Cups. She's World Cup down on land. The list is long. It's a very talented racer. But I think Lenzerheide was a great race when it came down to the top 10. Absolutely. And it's good that those fine margins again proving totally critical. When does next season start? Can't wait. The Freeride mountain bike World Tour made its stop in Rossland, Canada over the weekend for the Huckenberries Jam Dirt Jump competition. What are Huckenberries, John? I don't know. John. Freeriders from all over flocked to take part, from young groms to experts, laying down tricks and clean runs for the overall win. Just check this out. Check this out, indeed. Sure, if anyone's had...
Oh, nice big old back into a 3. Get the combos. Skipper. Go ahead.
Now on to the UCI MTB Marathon Series and the O-Tour bike. With 1,000 riders turning up in Alpnach, the O-Tour is one of the biggest sporting events in central Switzerland. The cross-country marathon was a seriously epic 86km track with about 3,000 metres of climbing, demanding both physical and mental strength from each and every rider. The cool thing about this UCI event is that there are so many categories and races available that everyone could take part. There was even an e-bike half marathon and a kids cross-country race. But to the women's cross-country marathon, it was Swiss rider Ariane Luthi who took the win, with Esther Suss in second place and Andrea Ming in third. And for the men, Hans Suli Staffer crossed the line first, followed by Urs Uber and Martin Fanger. That's it for this week's race show. If you want to see another video, click over here for how hard can you ride a hardtail.
Also down here to the inside line with Sam Hill. Now that is pretty much how to do the impossible.
That's
right?
how to win world champs, just there. Give us a thumbs up and hit that sub button.